Guys, it's Reed Young, aka Shooter here. I'm going to be reviewing this 1-2 hand where the button raises and the hero re-raises from the big blind with the pocket jacks. The button flats, and I guess the relevant history to start here is that the button hasn't folded to a 3-bet yet. He seems to be fairly regular in that he's buying in full stack. Nothing crazy or out of line that we've seen so far. And then the poster has some questions about the turn bet and also his potential river bet or river check and then confusion. So I guess, yeah, we'll start breaking it down here. Pre-flop, I think, is definitely standard. We're only 100 big blinds effective. So 3-betting a hand like jacks is definitely going to work out well. I mean, in an aggressive game, you could expect to get it in against a range of nines and better, and ace jack suited and ace queen, hands like that. Definitely worse hands than jacks, so you want to get some value here. Also, you want to be protecting your 3-bet bluffs pre-flop, and if you want to re-raise with hands like king queen to get value, people can't just 4-bet you and put you into weird spots all the time. So 3-betting pre-flop, definitely good. We get called, the flop comes down 4-2-5 with a flush draw. So it's not an amazing flop for us because a lot of our continuation bets are going to get credit for having a lot of equity. So what I mean by that is that our pre-flop re-raising range is going to have a lot of big ace-x hands in it. So a hand like pocket nines on this flop, if it's facing a range of hands like ace-queen and ace-king, then tens and better, it's not really in that great of shape, and especially considering that there could be more betting to come, it's going to be pretty tough to get to showdown and be confident that your nines are good if you're against a player who's going to be barreling you pretty well with good frequencies and knows how to react to different cards that change the board texture and things like that. So on the flip side of that, his hands like ace-x and pocket sixes do have a lot more equity, so we should be called a bit more often, at least on the flop. So I think it definitely makes it a no-brainer value bet with a hand like pocket jacks. And you might want to occasionally check a hand like this just to balance the times that you want to give up with something like king queen or whatever just whiffs the board, like 10-9 of hearts if you had it, something like that. So we bet the button calls, which doesn't really tell us that much about his range. Probably mostly medium pairs, I would say. And then some ace-x hands. The turn is the king of spades, which brings in the flush. And first our poster's question is about value betting the turn. Again, I think it's a no-brainer. It's a fantastic scare card to bluff, so that means we need to balance it with some value bets. And because it's such a great scare card and we want to be bluffing it pretty often, we definitely need to value bet a hand as strong as jacks. Really, the only thing this changes is the fact that the flush gets there. And with the given history, it sounds like he's been 3-bet pre-flop a bit. So I would imagine, in general, that would make him a bit more likely to play a flush draw a little quicker on the flop to try to avoid getting exploited by a wide continuation betting range. It would have been helpful if the original poster gave us some information about what happened post-flop in those hands, but I don't think it's a big deal, and the frustration pre-flop is probably a bit more important than his post-flop tendencies for such a small sample size anyway. So I think value betting the turn, again, is standard. The sizing is fine. Maybe we could bet a little bit larger, but I think it leaves a nice shove for the river. So it's really good also that we're making sure that we get all in. So I think maybe we could continuation bet the flop just slightly smaller, the turn slightly bigger, not a big deal though. So we get to the river, it's the 10 of clubs, and he has a question about shoving the river. So I think what you want to keep in mind is that when you're value betting rivers like this, or bluffing rivers like this, it's going to be keeping in mind how your entire range is playing out. So say we're going to be bluffing all of our hands that have the ace of spades in it and value betting appropriately. You almost certainly want to be value betting a hand like jacks because of how many combinations of ace x with a spade there are out there. Yeah, I mean, it's not like we are worried about that much on the board, although it could be difficult to get called by someone who just refuses to ever call a hand like pocket nines or eights. So if we are called, maybe we always lose. But I'm not sure that that really matters for constructing a, I guess I know it doesn't matter for constructing an optimal river betting range. Because, and I guess that might sound confusing, what is going to happen is the times that he folds are going to more than make up for the times that we call and lose. So the times he's folding when we have something like ace queen with ace of spades and he has a hand like pocket nines, we're just printing so much money that we don't care if our thin value bets get picked off. So the other side of that coin is if we can make an exploitive adjustment to check fold a hand like this, if we know we're just never getting called by worse, and then bluff more often with hands like ace queen, or if we had like 10-9 offsuit with a 10 of spades that we tried to bet on the turn. Maybe that's not the best example since we would have rivered a pair, but you understand what I'm saying, just some other random semi-bluff that we had on the turn or a pure bluff. We could continue more often and expect to win more money that way, but I don't think that's optimal strategy. So yeah, coming up with a plan to deviate from that is certainly helpful, but by default I think this is a no-brainer value bet because we want to be bluffing about half the time here. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please share it with a poker buddy and hit the like button if you're watching it on YouTube, and if you're coming from Twitter, a retweet would be awesome. Alright, thanks guys, take care.